If you haven't heard about the Kanye West and Adidas legal dramas that took place just a few months ago, my first question for you is, where have you been? And the second thing I want to say is, let's talk about it. In what started off as a series of highly inappropriate and extremely discriminatory comments made by Kanye, those comments led Adidas to sever their ties with Kanye. And sources report that Kanye was actually interested in getting out of his agreement with Adidas over their huge moneymaker of a brand, Yeezy, but had not been able to successfully sever those contractual ties. So those sources also go on to say that the ludicrousy, if you will, behind his comments was intentional. He knew the public outlash, he knew the impact it would have, and he also knew that owing to that impact, Adidas wouldn't want anything to do with him, at least publicly facing, and therefore he would get to his goal of severing contractual ties with Adidas through the back door of making these crazy comments. Okay? If you're watching this video and you're in a bit of a contractual pickle yourself, well, I want to focus on this video, in addition to going over some of the legal dramas, I want to focus as a business lawyer on why you should not do what Mr. West did to get out of an agreement that you otherwise are having a difficult time getting out of, okay? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Pamela Metani. I'm the principal lawyer and founder here at Graphene Business Law, where as our slogan states, it's all business all the time. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and click on the red subscribe button down below. We regularly post content here at Graphene that is most relevant to business owners and entrepreneurs, which of course that's also our primary demographic of clients that we serve, and we're able to serve you virtually and across all of Ontario. If you're new to this channel, also go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let us know that we're on the right track with all the research and the commentary and the knowledge that we're putting out there. Now, back to the Kanye West dramas. I was recently reading a copy of The Economist, and I came across an article. I have the article here, No Yeezy Answers. Now, for what it's worth, 10 seconds need to be spent on the fact that when it comes to pop culture and celebrity and icon material and level and appeal, you know, I believe that not just personal opinion, but all data supports that Kanye West is at the highest level of celebrity icon that we've seen, you know, in our generation on planet Earth. And I don't know if the same will be the same case, you know, thousands of years from now. There are people we currently remember from thousands of years ago, philosophers, Aristotle, Socrates, you know, there are names we speak of today that were around 2,000 years ago, and I don't know if Kanye will have that level of intergenerational icon for literally thousands of years to come, but for what it's worth, he's there, and he's there all the way in my books, and I think if you take an objective look at his career, what he's accomplished in anybody's books. That being said, just because someone reaches icon level doesn't mean they're untouchable, doesn't mean that anything goes, doesn't mean that they can go off, you know, acting inappropriately, doesn't mean that they can make discriminatory remarks or conduct themselves in a way that is inappropriate or aligns with discriminatory remarks. And in Kanye's case, that's exactly what he did a few months ago. He made some discriminatory comments, including anti-Semitic comments that rightfully got him in quite a bit of legal trouble. So much trouble that his largest partnership to date, at least up until that point, with Adidas as his business partner, was severed by Adidas. And this partnership was over, like I mentioned at the beginning, the mammoth moneymaker of a brand, Yeezy. Okay, Yeezy, of course, making all sorts of clothing, apparel, shoes, things like that. Now, I was thinking, you know, I wonder, because people watch these videos, these news, and I do believe it, you know, it gets us talking, it inspires ideas, and if, you know, we're leaning the wrong direction, unfortunately, I feel that somebody could be watching these events take place and think that maybe they'll do the same thing with their business partner, like they'll go off saying some, I don't want to use the word crazy, they'll go off saying some ridiculous, inappropriate, offensive things, and that'll make their business partner not work with them, whether they're doing it, you know, on any of the social media platforms, saying something just completely asinine out there, knowing that their partner will look at it and want nothing to do with them, and they'll sever the relationship that way. But actually, I don't think what Kanye did is a good approach to take, especially if you're a small business owner. And with that, you know, at Graphene Business Law, we pride ourselves in being an affordable firm because we know that business owners don't often have these huge coffers waiting to unload with, you know, money to fund legal issues, okay? I have not looked at the contract Kanye has with Adidas for obvious confidentiality reasons. That thing is locked up somewhere behind doors, and I don't know if we'll ever get a look at it. It's contracts made between two parties are private, as opposed to court filings that are public and anybody can access at you know, your local courthouse or whatever the case may be. The contracts, the deals, the transactional, you know, not to sound redundant, the boardroom bit, if you don't know what transactional means, that bit is almost always remains confidential unless it gets incorporated into public court filings, okay? So I don't know what his agreement was, but I would imagine that there would have been some termination clauses on there. We see them in all agreements. Conventional termination clauses pertain either to a period of time after which the agreement becomes automatically renewable, for example, on one-year terms between parties, or there's a clause there where the agreement terminates owing to any breach of the parties regarding any of the items in the contract. Or another thing we see is that any party has the right to give notice to the other party, so long as it's 30, 60, or 90 days notice. Those are some common timelines we see. And in Kanye's case, I'm sure that he has a strong legal team behind him, and that if it was as clean cut as to just give Adidas 90 days notice, he would have done that, keeping in mind, if the allegations are true, that he was actually looking to get out of the business deal for some time. It appears, if those allegations are true, it appears that the contract would not have had much opportunity for perhaps either party, but especially Kanye, to get out of it. So that led him to go down this rabbit hole of making these comments that, you know, will be associated with his name forever, and also have had impact on the public forever. I'm sure a lot of the public would have been deeply impacted by some of these comments, which I will not repeat in this video. I looked at the article, and financially speaking, it says Adidas today looks like an also ran. Revenues were more or less flat in the final 3 months of 2022, and the company disclosed a quarterly operating loss for the fourth quarter of 724 million euros. Okay. Investors today, the article goes on to say, not only have more confidence in Nike, which has always had a larger market share than Adidas, or I should say always, you know, based on the data I looked at, always in that data, but Puma also now has more investors. More investors are confident in Puma's performance than Adidas, owing to the huge swing. You know, the deal that went on with Kanye, that wasn't like a Peanuts deal. That wasn't, you know, the clothing in the back of the store. That was a keystone deal for Adidas as a brand, and for Kanye as well. If I remember correctly, don't quote me on this one, but if I remember correctly, we have reason to believe that Yeezy and this Yeezy collaboration with Adidas is what made Kanye a billionaire. So the agreement was clearly lucrative for him as well. Okay, the company as well, Adidas goes on, the Economist article goes on to report that unless the Yeezy merchandise is somehow repurposed, the company expects to end all of 2023 with its first annual operating loss in 30 years of perhaps 700 million pounds. And then it goes on to say other factors such as perhaps a recession, you know, an incoming recession and things like that, that are also having negative impact on Adidas financial filings. Now, I don't think we've seen the end of how Kanye is going to get out of this deal with Adidas. And owing to what a high profile celebrity that is, what a high profile individual that is, I do think that when the end comes, it will be, you know, the media will pick up on it, and there'll be some public commentary made there. However, whatever that end is for him, I want to make clear, the reason I don't recommend doing what he did is if you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur. Whatever that outcome looks like for him, Kanye is at a level where I don't personally believe it's possible for him to ever be destitute again, okay? Kanye, a lot of small business owners, their business is all they have. If they don't meet the month, they'll be on the street. If they don't meet the next 3 months of bills, they'll be on the street. They're, financially, they're so invested. Like, this business is all they have. Yeezy is one of Kanye's brands, and beyond the brands, I don't doubt that somebody that sophisticated would have personal investments in the form of real estate or bullion or stocks or mutual fund, like all of that, art, whatever the case may be, NFTs. That's a bigger and bigger segment. So Kanye is at a level where judgments against him are not going to cripple his life. And he's also at a level where even the worst judgment against him is going to be, I believe, mitigated to some extent owing to the strong legal help that he can afford. Taking a matter to court is at minimum, if you go, all the way through court, at the $100,000 to $200,000 range. But when somebody like Kanye, and now associated with the Yeezy brand, is going to court, it might not be just one lawyer working on the file. We saw Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's file. I believe Johnny's legal team was 5 lawyers, plus how many assistants, plus this and that. So that $100,000 that a lawyer would charge, that's what that quote is based on, by the way. You're gonna have 5 exit for all the 5 different lawyers. You're gonna add more for the clerks and the paralegals and the assistants and this and that. So he can afford millions in legal help, and many, many millions, okay? But if you are trying to get out of a business deal and you say something so ludicrous, such as Kanye did, or with any degree of, ridiculousness or offensiveness to it, that comment could cost you a lot. Who knows what you'll be sued for? Who knows which of your personal assets will be compromised? If you're incorporated, who knows if that corporation will remain a separate identity in court? As law supports, by the way, or there's compelling enough evidence to lift what's called the corporate veil and come to you personally. Who knows how it will impact other people in your life? Who knows when the legal battle will end? We have different levels of court in Canada, and to go to the highest level of court, for example, can take upwards of 10 years, 10 plus years. Who knows where rock bottom looks like for you? For Kanye West, rock bottom for the worst conduct he partakes in, assuming, nothing criminal, because the worst there technically is life in jail, assuming, no capital punishment in whatever jurisdiction he's in. But the worst business issue Kanye can land himself with, he's still going to end up, with the blue skies and the blue beaches and the white sand and, his many, many villas and his many, many assets and staff surrounding him, okay? I don't know what worst case scenario looks like for you, the worst of the worst. And I don't think you should find out by saying something, again, I'm trying to avoid the word crazy for, obvious connotations, but for saying something inappropriate, for doing something inappropriate and intentionally so, okay? If you're looking to get out of an agreement that you feel you're stuck in that is no longer serving your business interests, consult a lawyer. You can call us here at Graphene Business Law. You can email us here at Graphene Business Law. Our email is info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. I'll mention it at the end as well. We can look at your agreement. We can see if there's actually no way for you to get out. And if there isn't, you can still sue. You can still seek to, you have legal recourse as to how to terminate a relationship you don't wish to be in. There's things we can legally and appropriately do. You don't need to get yourself in personal trouble. You don't need to take matters in your own hands if you have no knowledge of what that could do, if you have no knowledge of what pulling that string, what's behind, if it's going to crumble a whole wall or if it's just going to be a little itty bitty string on the other end of that tug, okay? Conducting yourself in the manner that Kanye West conducted himself in a few months ago to get out of the Adidas and Yeezy deal is not something I recommend as a business lawyer for all the reasons mentioned in this video, okay? Again, if you're finding yourself in a difficult agreement, and one where either you just can't perform anymore, you're done with, and by the way, you don't even need to terminate some agreements based on necessity. You can terminate them because you just no longer wish to be in that agreement, okay? But whatever your circumstances are, whether it's something, you know, fueling that picture owing to your personals, or whether it's something having to do with the business partner you're in, doing something they weren't supposed to do, consult a lawyer, end that agreement in the right way, be legally protected, have peace of mind, don't risk literally everything you have because you followed something you saw online. And guess what? That article, it wasn't cited for good reason, right? This was a bad article you saw online. Don't follow a bad article. Okay, so I'll end the video there. Again, if you require legal help of this sort, of any sort with your business, obviously a Graphene business law, it's all business all the time. But, you know, keeping it relevant to this video, you can contact us anytime. info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca, and our website is graphenebusinesslaw.ca. Thank you for watching.